Hi there, guys. So welcome back, and what we're going to be looking at now is continuing our study of graphing, but we're going to be talking about what the slope of a line means. And basically what the slope means is whether a line is going up or down, as we look at it always from left to right, and how steep it is. And we'll give you some numerical examples of that to help you understand. So our task is going to be to try to find the slope of a line if we're given a graph or if we're given just 2 points on that graph. And remember, we always read a line left to right. So, for example, if a line is going up like that, then the slope is positive. If a line is going down, the slope is negative. If a line is going up like that, it's a very positive slope. So that gives you a sort of qualitative idea of what slope is all about. So perhaps you've seen this before. Slope is sometimes called rise over run, where rise means the change in the y values and run means the change in the x values. And it's abbreviated by delta y over delta x. And delta is the Greek letter which corresponds to our letter D, and it's chosen because it stands for the difference. And really, here is the best way of describing what slope is. So if we have 2 points, as we set up here, we have 2 points, and we know that one point is x1, y1, and the other point is x2, y2, then the change in y is simply one y value minus the other, and the change in x is one x value minus the other. And it's really important to make sure that we subtract in the same order. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. This actually would have been the same if I had written it as y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So this right here is the big deal, and that tells us how we can find the slope if we're given 2 points. So what we want to do here is find the slope given 2 points on a line. Now, I've drawn a coordinate plane. Well, I haven't drawn it, but I've brought in a coordinate plane, and I've drawn 4 points. And ideally, they should all be on a line. So let's see if I can draw that line and show you what it looks like. Okay, not bad. So there's a line, and what I want to do is find the slope of that line. Now, first of all, let's just remember, when you read a line from the left to the right, if it's going up, the slope is positive. If it's going down, the slope is negative. And the steeper that a line goes up, the bigger the number is. So as you read this line left to right, as you look at it left to right, it's clearly going up. So that tells us we better find a positive slope. So let's practice with this. So remember our very important formula, that the slope is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So what we're going to do now is use point A and point B and see if we can get the slope. So the y values are minus 4 and minus 2, and the x values are minus 3 and 0. So if we perform this operation, we're going to have minus 2, that's the first y value, minus 4, the second y value, over the difference in the x values in the same order. So it's 0 minus 3. And so what do we get? Minus 2 minus a minus 4 is minus 2 plus 4, which is 2. 0 minus a minus 3 is 3. So it looks like our slope is 2/3. But what we can do is check it with another 2 points. So let's check it, say, with B and D. So if I use B and D and I subtract, it's going to be the change in the y values, which is 2 minus the y value on b is minus 2 over the difference in the x values, which is going to be 6 minus 0. And so what I get here is 2 minus a minus 2, which is a 4 over 6, and that also is equal to 2/3. So the slope of this line is 2/3. We're pretty confident now. What I suggest you do, just to practice, is find the slope using points A and C, for example, and maybe find the slope using, let's say, points B and C. And if you do that, you should also get 2/3. The slope doesn't matter which points you choose. So just a couple of comments on some special lines. If a line happens to be horizontal, what you'll notice is that the change in y between any 2 points is 0. And so in this case, the slope is going to equal 0. On the other hand, if you look at a vertical line, y is changing, but x is the same. And so the slope, which is the change in y over the change in x, is going to be some number over 0. And any number over 0 is undefined. So we say that the slope of a vertical line is undefined. And that will show up from time to time. So suppose we're just given any 2 points at all, minus 2, 5, and 7, minus 3, and we want the slope between them. I don't think I've mentioned this, but the slope is usually given by the letter m, and the slope between any 2 points is the change in y, minus 3 minus 5, over the change in x, which is 7 minus a minus 2. And so what we get is minus 8 over 9, which we can write as minus 8/9. But remember, it doesn't matter which order we subtracted. So I could have subtracted as 5 minus a minus 3 over minus 2 minus 7, and that gives us 8 over minus 9, which again is the same as minus 8/9. So it doesn't matter what order you subtract in, but you just have to be consistent. In other words, 1 minus 1, this number minus this number, or this number minus this number, will be the same as this number minus this number over this number minus this number. And that's what we showed in this example right here. So here's a way that we can make a little bit of an algebra problem. Suppose we're told that we have a point 2 minus 3 and a point x, 5. We don't know what x is. But we're told that the slope between these 2 points is 4, and we want to find x. And so what we simply do here is we find the slope, which is minus 3 minus 5 over 2 minus x, and that has to equal 4. Well, what that means is minus 8 over 2 minus x is equal to 4. And so what we'll do now is multiply both sides by 2 minus x, and we get minus 8 is equal to 4 times 2 minus x. So we have a little bit of a linear equation here. Minus 8 is equal to 8 minus 4x. So minus 4x is equal to minus 16. And finally, x must equal minus 4. Right? So that's just a little bit of an example of how we can use the work that we have done with linear equations. Did you catch my error? X isn't equal to minus 4. X is equal to 4. It's always good to check your work and make sure that you got it correct. Okay? See you next time.